People of the universe, welcome back to the Who Even Are We podcast with Pat and Taylor.
Hello, hello.
Hey everyone, so welcome back to another riveting episode of the Who Even Are We podcast. This is going to be one of those kind of thrown together episodes. We realized we didn't have one recorded and we need to get one done, but we do have a few topics to talk about on today's episodes, one of them being our dogs. Then we're just going to talk about a random slew of other stuff. But before we get into that, we just wanted to say thank you again to Matt, who joined us for the episodes last week. We had a great time. As we've talked about since, you're always welcome back. And we look forward to doing it again with you. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I think he really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, he seemed like he really enjoyed it. One thing I do want to note for our audience, and this is kind of my fault because I'm the one who edits the podcast. I got some feedback and I went back and listened because I'm going to be honest, I don't really listen to all of the podcasts when I'm editing it like I should, mainly because that's a lot of work and editing audio just pains me. I love doing audio, video, or I love doing video, music, stuff like that, but editing it is just, for those who know, they know. I received a lot of feedback that it was kind of choppy, sounded like a broken record, particularly our video games episode. So I want to let the viewers know that I take responsibility for that, and because of that, and to be respectful, I'm actually going to remove that episode and re-upload it on Wednesday. So Wednesday we'll have a bonus episode if you haven't listened to it yet. Hopefully you have by this point, but we want to make sure we're putting the best content out there for you guys, and that just, again, I should have been more thorough with it, but here we are. I've gone back, re-edited it. It sounds a lot better. I listened to a lot more of it than I normally did, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So wanted to bring that up and get that out of the way first.
I feel like I'm kind of the test dummy for it. So, do we need to set up a system to where I listen to it before we post it? Does that help you out any?
Well, the other part is I usually edit the podcast an hour and a half before it's supposed to be uploaded, so maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Even though this episode for sure is going to be that situation. But, I could always put it on private on YouTube. You could listen to it, give me the feedback, and then if it's good, we'll upload it.
Because do you hear...
I went and listened, and yeah. So what it is the software that I use... There is part of the software is called Magic Mute. And then there's another part that will take out filler words like and or stuff like that. And so what it does, it goes through and with AI detects those things. And sometimes it does really well, but sometimes it doesn't.
I think maybe with 3 people last week, it was just like, what's going on?
I'm not used to this.
So many voices.
No,
yeah, I just wasn't sure if you could hear it as well on the computer versus on your phone. If it showed the same.
Yeah, and I know your audio was quiet. I think that was more, like I said, maybe you were moving the mic around a lot.
I didn't think so, but it's possible.
Because the second episode you sounded fine.
Yeah.
So I think that may have been what it is. Because you weren't using your mic stand. Because we let Matt use that because we were using a different type of mic that only picks up from certain angles.
Maybe I just need to yell. Be like a little therapy session.
Please don't.
Start screaming.
But either way, wanted to address that.
I don't remember which episode it was, but did you hear the fly?
What fly?
There was a fly somewhere. It was just for a split second. It sounded like it landed on something. And I'm sitting here when did that happen?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I would notice a fly right next to my face if it was my mic.
It was weird.
Nala is laying next to her mom.
Yeah, I was thinking we probably should have recorded.
Yeah, so that's going to be one of, like we said, we're going to talk about our dogs a little bit. Because TikTok seems to love our dogs. So
yeah. Who doesn't?
Before we get into that, though, any sourdough updates?
No. I mean, I made the traditional loaf like we had discussed last weekend. It turned out fine. I didn't eat it fast enough, so it kind of went... I need to find a preserving bin situation.
The refrigerator?
No. There's like certain bags that you can get that like allows the bread to breathe, but it also... I don't know. It just... So I used a Ziploc bag once, and that went fine, except it molded quicker because of the moisture. So then I used the bread bag that came with the kit that I had gotten for Christmas, and it didn't hold any moisture, so the bread...
dried out.
It was literally a brick. Like I could have knocked somebody out with it. And then this weekend I took a break from sourdough, so nothing to update.
So, yep. Good old sourdough. I'm sorry, I was pulling up the stuff for the record of the week. It's all Matt texted me, so... Anyway, so moving on to record of the week. Again, Tuesday tradition at this point. This week's record is another newer one. Truth be told, I own more than one copy of this record, but it's not my favorite record from this band. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite from this band. We were actually supposed to see this band on tour, and then my gallbladder decided it was needing to come out. Record was released through Warner Records on April 1st, 2022. And that record is Unlimited Love by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The length is 73 minutes 13 seconds. So just over an hour, and featured singles like These Are the Ways and my personal favorite song from that record, which is Black Summer. Funny enough, with this record, they released 2 records that year. They released Unlimited Love and Return to the Dream Canteen. I don't think to this day, I still don't think I've listened to Return to the Dream Canteen. But Unlimited Love, solid record if you're a Chili Peppers fan. I'm kind of a weird person when it comes to Chili Peppers. I love them, but I have to be in a specific mood to listen to the Chili Peppers. It's not like, Blink or Foo Fighters or a lot of other bands that I could just turn on at any point. Like, there'll be times where I'm like, I need that funky groove. I need Flea's bass line. I need Chad's drumming. I need Anthony's vocals. And I need John's guitar. Like, there's certain moods for it. And it's not as often as other bands, but I'm still a big Chili Peppers fan. So, Unlimited Love by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The vinyl, or the record, the album cover is a neon sign that I think would be really cool to have. If you are not familiar with it, I would recommend looking it up. It's pretty freaking cool. But again, Unlimited Love, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I like the Chili Peppers. I just don't know them that well. It's not really something that I just listen to.
You have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Like, they're
different.
Very melodic, very funky.
Yeah.
I remember we were in the car listening to him one time, and you were like, how do you understand anything he's saying?
Yeah.
And I think we were listening to Come to Decide the Things That I Try Were in My Life Just to Get High On.
I don't remember.
I think we were listening to Snow.
Okay.
Then I sat alone, come get a little more, but I need more of myself this time. There's certain songs where the way Anthony sings is a little funky, but that's who they are.
Yeah.
And then you have other songs like Danny California, where it's a lot more clear. Getting born in the state of Mississippi, Papa was a copper and a mama was a hippie. If you, I think it's one of those, if you look up the lyrics and listen to the song, once you do that once, you'll understand the song.
Then you're like, oh. I mean, I can't say much. I used to listen to Sean Paul, and I had to use that was back in the day when the CDs came with, like, the lyrics.
The fold out.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this dude
Bring
saying?
that back. Never happened to CDs.
Yeah.
I still have a few CDs.
Well, like, there's no CD players in vehicles anymore.
I don't know if my truck has a CD player.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
I don't think it doesn't. It does.
Bruce, I think, might be the only one that still does.
That's crazy.
My truck.
Yeah. No.
And his is like, like the screen like folds out.
Yeah. I forgot it does that.
I did too.
That's funny.
I want to update that someday.
One day.
Because that thing is
ancient.
You want a GPS from 2011?
Yeah, there's roads on there that don't exist anymore.
Yeah, like main roads and there's main roads on there now that aren't registered on there. Like Wolf River in Memphis. It's not on there.
Really?
Yeah. That's
a
like a
big
main road, yeah.
That's not like a side road or a side street. That's like a decent sized road.
I remember like when I was driving up to Pennsylvania once, it was when I was having trouble like keeping my phone charged. Like it wouldn't charge
in the truck
or anything. I
that
had my work phone,
wasn't it?
I think so. I had my personal phone, my work phone, and I was like going back and forth trying to charge them. And then I turned on the GPS on my truck, and I was like, this is a terrible idea because I'm going to end up somewhere I don't know.
See, I think that's something now, like, I think that's a dying thing in vehicles, too, is GPS systems. Like, it's still a thing, but everyone just uses, like, I remember when I went to California in, like, 2019, they had, like, a thing where you could get GPS for, like, $100 more, and the car had CarPlay, and you could just use Google Maps or Waze. I used to be a Waze person, but I switched to Google Maps because Waze just it stopped working for me.
I use Waze for work, so
I like Waze. It works fine, but speak of the devil,
what are you doing?
She's ready for us to talk about them.
No, I still have like the like the old Garmin type GPS that sits on your dashboard.
Like the actual
GPS. I have it in the what is that? Center console in Bruce.
That's crazy.
It probably also needs to be updated.
Probably. Yeah, so we'll just keep using Google Maps and Waze or Apple Maps. But anyways, on to the topic of today's episode. So the reason why we decided to talk about this, other than Taylor manages the TikTok account for us because I don't use TikTok. I will say that with no remorse. I guess she posted a video of our dogs and it did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about them essentially every episode, especially the first several episodes, because we weren't sure if you could hear them or not, so we were like explaining what was happening in the room since we don't have video. And so I was like, we need to introduce the world to the dogs. So I took like a quick video of the dogs and put it on TikTok, and it did well.
I think anything with a dog will do good, especially that one.
Well, and it's also very helpful that they're both rescues. So I got a few comments about that as well.
Yeah. I know when we got together, I really wanted to get a puppy. I specifically remember a dog named Thor that I would have loved to have, but he was $2,000.
Yeah. He's a husky.
It was a Malamute.
Okay. Well,
I was like, I remember texting you, we could finance the dog.
We're not financing a dog.
Yeah, no. Can we have a tank? Please, can we have a tank? I was like, I just want to pet it. I just want to be its friend. That's all I want. Well, let's start by saying that you had both of these dogs before we met.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand the floor over to you and let you tell the story because apparently I get it wrong every time. So,
so I guess I'm going to tell the story of how I got these two doggos.
Yeah, two good doggos.
Because we just celebrated their birthdays. Oso, our old man, turned 14 back at the end of January, and Nala is 11. Which it feels weird to me because I guess I never realized how close in age they were. Because I feel like I've had Oso forever.
Yeah.
And I feel like Nala just got here yesterday. Because I was 15 when I got Oso. And I was in college. Barely. When I got Nala. That math ain't mathin'.
You must have been like
18.
16.
I think, it was, we've been over this. I was about to turn 16. I was that year. I was like, that math ain't mathin'. But anyway, so Oso's story is, so my dad, throughout high school, he was working out of town jobs. He's a plumber, and he did a lot of big, like, apartment complex jobs. And he was in Nashville working a job, and my cat had just passed away maybe a year or so prior to that. So, not that I needed a pet, but it was kind of on the mind. And my dad, it was like February. Yeah, it was in February, and it was stupid cold outside. And my dad was on the job, and he said that he walked into their storage container that they use to keep all their plumbing supplies and everything. And there was this little ball of fur just sitting in there in a ball. And he thought it was dead because, like I said, it was like freezing cold outside. So Dad went to grab his shovel, went to pick the ball of fur up, and it wiggled a little bit. So he realized it was a puppy, and my dad was wearing like overall type bibs. He stuck them right in there between his chest and the coveralls to keep them warm and thaw them out. And that is Oso.
And I talked to your dad about this when I was working with him on the plumbing job, and he told me all that, and he goes, I remember I took him back to the hotel. I sent him like a $50 bill. Like, hey, I know it's not like a pet friendly, but like, look at this little guy.
Yeah. I mean, he was a
puppy.
I mean, he had to be 6 to 8 weeks-ish, maybe.
And he was like, I didn't get any damn sleep because all I do is sit up with him all night playing with him.
He was really cute. I mean, he was just a ball of fur.
And so, yeah, he was telling me about that. And I know as a puppy, he used to chew on walls. And
yeah, so my parents have, what is that called? They have like the classic wood paneling walls down the hallway. And in the middle of the night, you would just hear Oso gnawing on the corner of the wall. I think it was the wall leading into like, because we have the main hallway and you have that little baby hallway that leads to mom and dad's room. And he would like gnaw on the corner. He didn't really, other than that, he really didn't tear anything up. It was just the wall.
Like he was teething or something?
Yeah, I think so. But I think the next day they found the rest of the litter of puppies in a couch that had been tossed on the curb. And between the construction staff, they all took them home, and some passed away due to worms and ailments like that. I think one was unfortunately hit by a car. There for a while it was Oso and one other, and I think it got worms or something. But Oso is our last man standing.
He is the last of his bloodline.
And when Dad first got him, he was really excited because he thought he was bringing me a husky. Because like I said, he was nothing but fur. His eyes looked blue because even now, his eyes have like a blue hue to them. But then we took him to the vet, and she was like, well, I mean, just based off of what I see, I'm thinking he's like lab border collie something or another. And honestly, if you were to try to describe him to anybody, that's what I would say.
Is a lab.
Border collie lab mix. Because he has like the coloration and the fur of a border collie, but like his stature and his face looks lab. Now, funny enough, 10 years later, we finally got a DNA test for him.
Yeah, for Christmas. During Thanksgiving, I'll tell this part of the story. During Thanksgiving, Taylor was like, I'm really curious about what he is. He just poked his head up.
Yeah.
Really curious about what he is, but like the DNA tests are so expensive. And it was like right around Black Friday, and I saw it was on sale, and I was like, oh, I have to do this. This is a perfect present.
Yeah.
So I got her the DNA test for Christmas, and then I guess her aunt and uncle heard the same conversation and also got her a DNA test.
Oso,
which is a solid present, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, y'all did great.
Yeah. So my aunt and uncle had a dog named Max back in the day that had the same temperament that Oso does.
Eeyore.
So, and that was kind of Melissa's Oso. So, like, I've had Oso forever. She had Max forever. So when he passed away, she gravitated to Oso anytime she saw him. So that's why they were like, they wanted to do get the DNA test for us. But we got that back, and he's the definition of a mutt, but shockingly he has zero lab in him. I think what we're seeing in his face is like chow, because the DNA test came back as border collie.
Primarily. It's on.
Sorry. It didn't look like a whole lot was going on. Border collie, blue heeler, which Australian cattle dog, I think those are the same thing. Rottweiler chow mix, which back in his prime, I can see the Rottweiler because he has had, I don't know if he still does, muscle in his legs. And then, like, it makes sense, the chow, now that I see it, because, like, he's always had excess skin. Like, he's always had, like, a turkey gobbler, and chows always have, like, a fat face. And, like, his fur texture is a lot like chow, so all the pieces make sense now that we know. It only took 10 years to get there.
And for those wondering what we did with the second DNA test, we tested Nala and...
Yes, and so it wasn't a waste, because Nala is 11 years old, and she's a husky, and she weighs 37 pounds. Always has. And so it never fails.
Healthy as a horse.
Yeah. It never fails that when I take her out to a dog park or whatever, people would be like, oh, how old is she? And I'd be like, oh, she's like 8. And they're like, oh, I thought she was a puppy. She's so small. And I'm like, yeah, she gets that a lot. So I was like, let's just do a DNA, because I don't have papers on her. She is also technically a rescue.
We'll tell that story in a second.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, we'll use it and see. She's 100% Siberian Husky. I have
the whole wheel was blue Siberian Husky. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing
no
else
doubt
in there.
So she's just small. She
I'm
might have been a runt.
Is there's no like crocodile or lizard or reindeer.
I'm honestly surprised that there's like no glimmer of anything else.
Yeah, no, she's pure.
Because I mean, you would think like Oso has some breeds like way down the line. Like, he honestly came back with like 14 different breeds.
But those were the ones we said are the primary.
Yeah, those were the top dogs. Pun intended.
It's like he has like 0.2% dachshund. Like, how did that? That wasn't.
He has
a
like
date.
some little Chinese like weird tiny little dog in him.
Like a Shih Tzu.
No, it was a bunch of letters. It was like XI something. But I don't know. I just feel like it's rare to have like 100% match and not like a little bit of
purebred
something. Yeah.
Well, I guess with that said, let's naturally segue over to the little girl sleeping to your right.
Yeah. So Nala, I was a freshman in college, and I was an idiot, honestly, because I had just gotten a kitten. And when I say kitten, this was another dad story. He found a kitten on the job, and he was literally ounces.
Is that Tigger?
Yes. Tigger was smaller than my hand.
Who is
when
now
we got
her
him.
parents' cat.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll end up telling the story of Tigger too. But we had to bottle feed him. We had to stimulate him to pee and poop, because he didn't his mother cat was gone, so she didn't. They're supposed to lick him. I ain't licking him. So we had a little cotton ball, and you stimulate them, they go pee. We had to put him in a box with like a heating pad. I mean, he was like baby.
Like NICU.
Yeah, and I was in college, and so Tigger was mine, and I was getting up throughout the night to feed him, stimulate him to pee and poop, and it's a joke now because my parents were my age at that time. Like, the age that I was at that time was the age that my parents were when they had me. So Mom was like, aren't you glad you didn't get pregnant? Because you can't even handle this cat. and it's essentially the same thing. Like I was having to wake up throughout the night. But anyway, so I had Tigger for a while, and then I had a friend who had a husky, and it was literally my dream dog, a red husky with blue eyes that she needed to find a home for. I don't remember or know why they needed to get rid of her. I didn't really ask questions because she was free and she was my dream dog. I was like, I'll take her. And so I remember meeting them at the Walmart in Millington, and it was Nala and two smaller, like, for lack of better terminology, yappy dogs in the car, and she was feeding them ice cream. So I took her home. Little did I know she was in heat. She was bleeding all over the place. So I had to get that taken care of. But yeah, that's our girl. And then later on down the line, I found out that, so when I got her, she was 7 months old. And I was her 6th or 7th home.
She went through a home essentially a month.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't ask questions. It was a free, now knowing that she's purebred,
couple $1,000
dog. But the reason I brought up Tigger is because this little redhead over here ended up being a lot of trouble, and I couldn't handle her and Tigger at the same time. So I had initially asked Mom if she would be willing to watch Tigger for a while, and then a while turned into I never got that cat back.
Which Tigger's still around. Tigger's
he's
well taken care of.
Him and Nala are the same age, approximately. So he's got a good life with my parents. I think he did well for my mom. My dad might hate me, but it's fine. No Bama. That's the only other one I knew. That was the name she had when I got her. Thankfully, she hadn't imprinted on it yet, so changing her name was pretty easy.
Nala.
We still mess with her and try to see if she'll respond to Bama.
You can pretty much call her anything. You'll get her attention. Hey, dummy. No, she's sleeping right now.
So, Oso is the definition of Eeyore, and he never, apart from allergies, he's never put us through any trouble. He's always listened relatively well. I mean, it's gotten harder as he's gotten older because he just can't hear us.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to him. I was on the phone with, I think, my mom, and I was like, I said his name really loud. She's like, don't yell at him. I was like, he can't hear me otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, he's 14, so. But he, apart from the wall chewing and the allergies, it took me several years to figure out what was causing it. It was fleas. No matter how many different flea meds I tried. He's been pretty much an angel dog. Like, couldn't ask for better. Nala, on the other hand,
redheaded stepchild.
She put me through it. It's always a second kid. That's what I hear anyway. She, in true husky fashion, learned how to open doors. Like the front door. I remember getting out of the shower a couple times. Oso was standing in the living room looking at me, and the front door was wide open, and Nala was nowhere to be found. That happened several times. Then my dad came over and fixed the door to where, so it was a lever doorknob, and he switched it to where it was straight up and down. So people would come over to the house and think it looks weird, and I'm like, it's what we had to do, or else I was going to be chasing this dog all over the place. And then people who aren't used to her and like her goofiness would not shut the door fast enough. She'd take off running.
Yeah. When we got together, she was still in that wild child phase.
She was, we were at the tail end of it, but she was still there. And unlike Oso, she did tear up stuff. She liked shoes. She liked
clothes hangers.
I mean, she was just, unfortunately, because of that, she was in a kennel until she was like 6.
6 or 7.
6 or 7. which it worked out fine because it was her safe space as well. So it wasn't like an abusive situation. It was just...
And she didn't mind her kennel.
No, I mean, she would go in there throughout the day, like if we were home, and just take a nap.
Walk back there and be like, what are you doing in here?
She also had a habit of... So, you know how there's a saying that says that dogs won't poop where they sleep or they won't poop where they eat? BS. I'd come home and she had pooped in the kennel, and it was all over her, all over the kennel, all over the wall. There were times I'd come home, the kennel was still locked shut, and she's in the living room staring at me. What the heck?
Still trying to figure that one out. Yeah, I remember one time you got home and you were like, why is there a husky in my living room?
Yeah, I have that Snapchat video. I'm like, what?
I have a video from the Furbo cam of her tail up like she's excited, doing her little trot into the living room at our old house, and starts chewing up a clothes hanger, and Oso just looks at the camera and he's like, it wasn't me. And I was like, I see, big boy.
Yeah. She also likes chocolate chip cookies.
Ate an entire tray of cookie dough.
I had just cooked them. They were sitting on top of the oven or on top of the stove, like cooling off. And I walked away for like a minute. I come back and every single one of them are gone. I will say this about Oso. He is a trash panda.
Yes.
That's something I forgot. He used to get in the trash really bad.
Used to. He did like a week ago.
Well... But he's also not a leader. He's a follower. So I feel like both of them got into the cookies, but Nala started it.
Oh, so did you eat the cookies, dude?
But, so yeah, that happened. Then I had to go to work. And I came back home from work, and there was diarrhea in a circle all around the kitchen table. And it was dried because I had been at work. So then I had to, it was the whole thing. Yeah,
I see a younger Taylor just boo-hooing on her hands and knees.
I was on my period, which is why I wanted the chocolate chip cookies. And then my dog ate them all. And then left me a present after I had gone to work. So, yes, it was a rough night.
I think it's funny, too, whenever we have taken both of them out somewhere, people always gravitate towards Oso. Because I think people look at Nala and are just like... I remember we went out with your church people, and all the kids were coming up to Oso, just giving him head scratches, and he was loving it, and all was just sitting there like, what about me?
See, I always have the opposite. Everybody comes up to Nala. What's really funny is we've not been the greatest dog owners here since we moved, because we don't really take them much anywhere. But back in Memphis, people were scared of Nala. Like if I would take her to Petco and walk her around because they thought she was a wolf.
He just ripped ass, and it stinks.
Oh my gosh, I smell it.
Oh my God. Talk about an old man.
Toxic farts.
Jeez, dude. On my foot? Make sure there's no skid marks on my toes. Okay, we're good. Dude.
Yeah, you smell it? You looking around?
You done gassed us out of here. Oh my gosh, I'm about to light this candle. No, you light a match in here, the whole barn's going up.
Nala's looking around like, what is this?
You smell it too? It's bad, isn't it?
What stinks for Nala is I wanted her to be able to get all of her pent up energy out. And so I would take her to Shelby Farms, to the off leash park, but
you couldn't catch her.
Well, the off-leash park, it's honestly a great place because it's massive and there's ponds and they can run forever, but the fence is just a barbed wire fence. That's not stopping her. There were a couple times when I tested it, I let her go. And the only way I could get her back was when she got distracted by somebody else's dog. Thankfully with her, she doesn't really have an aggressive bone in her body unless you've annoyed her for 45 minutes straight.
Yeah, she'll yell at you.
Yeah.
She'll yell at you.
But apart from that, she's friendly to every person. She's friendly to every dog. So, I never had to worry about that. But
Oso, on the other hand.
Well, he's just...
Oso, so he's fine with other dogs. He'll tolerate them. But if they're sitting there messing with him for a while, he'll snap.
Yeah. He's got an ornery.
The only dog, he has never... I've seen him snap at Nala one time. And that's because Nala was, like, jumping all over him, and he was like, "Arr!" And Nala was like, oh, shit. She's just sitting over here sleeping in the chair.
But see, like, she's gotten out of leashes. She's gotten out of harnesses. There's so many stories that...
Should have named you Houdini.
That I could tell you. There's so many stories that my family could tell you. But truly, I've never had a dog that loves me so much.
That dog, with her mom, I'll be the one. I'll be the first person to say it. Like, wherever Taylor goes in our house, Nala's right behind her.
I mean, Oso follows me as well, and I know that he loves me. But like Nala, I feel like if she could get into my skin, she would do it.
Yeah, you were the one that kept her. You're like, you didn't get rid of me.
I mean, the thing about Huskies is you need to do your research. And because I want a Husky so bad, all I was doing was watching Husky videos, like reading up on them. Because they fascinated me. Yeah, I probably could have done better, locking the door so that she can't open it. But, like, I didn't realize she was going to learn how to open the front door.
She's too smart for her own good, but she's also dumb. Like, this dog can open doors and get out of crates without it, like, unlocking it. But I've also seen her run face first into the oven at our old house several times.
She gets traction with her Grinch feet.
She'll start running and she'll lose traction, just kaplunk, and I will laugh every single time. And I'll tell my mom, or I'll tell somebody, they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "No, it's hilarious. I promise you, it's so funny." I mean, I'll never forget camping on Thanksgiving, and she got out of the... I was super tired, so I went and took a nap, and I heard the door open, so I thought you were coming in, and then the door never shut, and after like 5 minutes, I rolled over, and I looked, and Oso was standing halfway out the door, and I was like, crap. And I walk out, I look to my left, there's Nala, staring at me.
I'm like, and she's so annoying about it.
Yeah, she'll run just fast enough to where you cannot catch her. And like she said, you have to rely on somebody else to catch her. So we're running through this campground, and there's a giant wooded area, and I was like, I'm in my socks. Please don't go back there. And she walked up to somebody pet her. I was like, please grab her, and they just let her go. And I was like, gee, thanks. And then finally, I'm running around. I lost her. I'm running around yelling at her name, and somebody's like, hey, is this your dog? I walk over, this lady caught her, and she was like, I had an escape artist too. I get it. Do you need a leash to take her back to wherever? I was like, yes, please. And I took her back, and she got a stern talking to.
Well, the last time I went camping for Thanksgiving, I think it was 2 years ago. We had been there for a week. Like, we were on like the last couple days. It was nighttime. So what we do when we go camping is we have like the yard stakes that we put all the dogs on. We, as people, are hardly ever in our campers or tents unless it's nighttime. So the dogs are also outside the whole time, unless we're sleeping or whatever. And, she was staked in the ground. She had her harness on. It's latched, all good to go. We're sitting around the campfire. It's dark outside. And, like, another camper comes by, and they're like, hey, are you guys missing a husky? And we're all like, no. Because, I mean, like I said, we had been there for like 5 days already. My dad gets his flashlight out, and he shines over to where Nala's supposed to be. No, she's not there. The harness was still attached to her. It was fine. The leash was still fine. The latch was fine. The thing was still in the ground. We have no idea how Nala took off. The only thing we can think of is that she laid on it just right, or she twisted it just right. I don't think it was intentional. It was just one of those things where she was like, oh, I'm free. Let's go for a stroll.
That's the one benefit, is she'll walk up to anybody.
Yeah, except for me or you.
Yeah, if she sees us, it's
she
like,
knows she knows she's in trouble, so we're the last people she wants to go up to. She had gotten out of the house so many times to where it got to a point where I was like, I didn't even rush because I can't run as fast as her. And honestly, there was one time when I couldn't find her. And at the time we lived close to a lot of busy streets. I was like, Lord, just let me find her. I don't care if it's dead or alive, but I need that closure. Because I can't go home and, like, wonder where she's at. Thankfully, I found her. I think that was the day that I found her at Top's Barbecue. And I had to get the guy to grab her. She's also run down the interstate once. Our maid of honor can tell that story. That was also one of those times where I just stood in the doorway and was like, well, she's gone. Because we were staying at a friend's house, and they lived, like, literally next to the on-ramp to the interstate.
There she goes.
There she goes.
She's too smart for her own good.
She just likes to explore. So.
We haven't had an incident in a while.
Since Thanksgiving.
This Thanksgiving?
No, the camping Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah. She's gotten out here once or twice.
Yep.
She actually, when your dad was living with us, he goes, I've been working on this thing where she runs out the door directly to me. And I was like, don't do that, Colin. And he's like, no, I got her down. Opens the door. She's sitting there. He's like, come here. Bolts past him. And I was like, this is why I said don't do that.
She builds your trust and then she breaks it.
And she ran around the neighborhood, ran out where the main road is in somebody's yard, then ran back. And I was like, our neighbors were out there yelling for her. They're like, come here, girl. Thank God we have good neighbors. And that was the one time she walked straight up to me. I was like, come here, Nala. She put her head up. I'm sorry, little girl. I'm telling a story. I was like, come here. And she walked right up to me. And I was like, I'm not going to scold you because you came right up to me and because I was the one, you didn't escape. You were told to come. You good girl.
What's happening? Are we talking about you?
Your ears burning? I didn't realize that she was a petite husky until we found the other husky.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before, but at our old house, I think it was due to where we lived. We lived kind of in the ghetto. So unfortunately there was a lot of
strays.
A lot of strays. And I think they would tell each other where our house was.
We caught, in the time that I lived there, we caught 7 dogs.
Yeah.
There was only one that we couldn't find
the owner. But it was like 4:00 in the morning. I could hear the dog next door was barking. And I was like, what is happening? And so I go outside, and there's a gigantic black and white husky.
And I just hear, come here. And I was like, is this the type of come here where I need to grab my, you know what? Or she's like, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah, I remember walking
And I walked down the hall, and she's like, it's a husky. Drags this 80-pound husky into the house. I was like, Jesus. And brought him inside, and we were up from 4 a.m. And I think we finally found... I think I was supposed to work that day.
Yeah.
And I called out because I was like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
We found this giant dog, and he was not neutered. So he was very, he saw Nala and was like, let me try, but Nala wasn't having it. Nala, it doesn't matter what house Nala walks into, she thinks she's the alpha.
Oh, I still vividly remember bringing her home for the first time, and as soon as we walked in the door, Osa was like, all right, queen of the house, right there. Granted, she wasn't spayed, so he was probably like,
Oh, I know that scent.
You brought me a friend? Friend?
But, yeah, no, I remember that husky, and that wasn't the only husky we caught. There was another one that we lured into the backyard because it was running around with another dog. It was like middle of the day. I think your dad was over for some reason. I think somebody was over for some reason. And we lured that dog into the backyard, and then this car pulls up and was like, hey, have you seen these 2 dogs? And we're like, yeah, we got them in the backyard. And dude just picks this like 80-pound dog up. And
we're just like, I relate.
We're just like, we get it. We know
we have
it.
One in there.
I think he saw our husky. He was like, okay, yeah. Because they were at the back door staring at this husky. The only one we weren't able to, just to add this, the only one we weren't able to find their owners, we ended up rehoming.
Yeah.
We named all of the dogs that we caught. I loved Duke, which was the last one, but he was a lot. He was a puppy. He wasn't neutered.
He was like 2 times the size of our dogs.
Oso and him did not get along great.
Both of our dogs tolerate other dogs really well until they don't.
Yeah.
They both have pretty good patience, but with that dog in particular, that dog, like I said, was 2 times the size of ours.
He was like a pit and shepherd mix.
Yeah,
he was strong.
Just imagine like a German shepherd puppy that weighs 80 pounds. All of that energy, not long hair, but all of that energy all over my older dogs. It just, both of them, they were over it.
And to tell the story about Duke, we, like we said, we rehomed him. So we found him, or actually, I found him.
Yeah.
I was going out to the car, getting ready to go to work one day, and I hear a noise behind me, so I turn around, and there's a dog on my Jeep just looking up at me, and I was like, what are you doing? And so I brought him inside. You didn't like him from day one.
He was just too much.
And, we posted on Nextdoor, and we had him for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And I remember driving up the street and seeing this lost dog sign, and it was a puppy that looked very similar to him. And I called the lady, and I was like, my name's Pat. I just wanted to know if you have found your dog, because there's a chance we may have found him. And the details were lining up, and I was like, I only have a couple of pictures of him. I'm right around the corner from my house. He's been fed, he's got water, he's safe. Let me go take pictures and send them to you. And unfortunately, it wasn't her dog, and it kind of broke my heart, because I think I got our hopes up.
Yeah, but you tried.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, it's okay. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys you taking care of it. I hope you're able to find its home. And in the first day or so that we had Duke, we got a message on Nextdoor, and this guy was like, hey, I know you don't know me, but if for some reason you guys aren't able to find the owner, if for some reason you're not able to find the owner and you guys decide not to keep him, like, we recently lost a dog and we're looking for another one.
Yeah.
And so a week and a half goes by, we get no bites. We posted it everywhere we could. We tried to find him a shelter, but none of the kind of annoying. No shelters will take a lost dog.
Yeah.
I understand they're overrun, but that's what they're there for. And so I reached out to the guy and was like, hey, look, like, I'm going to give you all of the information I have on this dog. I can tell you he doesn't have fleas. We haven't seen worms in his poop. He's very wild. He's not neutered. He's sweet as can be.
He doesn't know his size.
He doesn't know his size.
That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest problem.
He's never had an accident. He'd never had an accident in our house.
Mm-mm. And he was never aggressive towards our dogs.
He seemed like, this is what I know. If you're still interested, all I ask is that you bring, like, some type of proof that you're a decent pet owner.
Yeah.
Like vet bills, like just something that I can see before I give you this dog. And he was totally cool about it. And when we met him, he was like, I actually appreciate you guys doing that, because you want to make sure the dog's going to a good home. I'm like, well, if I didn't get a good vibe from you, I would have taken this dog back home.
They were like 2 nurses or something.
Yeah,
they were
in the
like
healthcare
field.
They were,
and their dog had passed from of old age, and
they had another dog.
Yeah.
And when we dropped him off, they're like, yeah, we have an appointment to get him neutered. Like, we have when we told him, we're like, we don't know if he's had his shots. Like, this is what we know about this dog.
I feel like he was a dump.
Or a bait dog.
Yeah.
Which again breaks my heart. But no, they seemed like good people, and I'll never forget sitting in that parking lot at Kroger, and this was the first time we had Duke solo, and he was just so sweet. He's such a good dog. I hope he's doing good. I hope he's still around and he's doing good. But there are some rescues, like the husky and the other dog that we caught, that we found their home like right away. That husky that we initially talked about, we got their owners pretty quickly. I think we named him Thor, and his real name was Hunter.
Yeah.
The other dog that was kind of like the one that got away was Buddy.
Yeah, I think the one dog that you and I both would have kept without a second thought would have been Buddy, which I think his real name was Pongo.
We called him Buddy.
Works out.
So we'll tell the story of Buddy really quickly too. Buddy was a pit bull.
He was a Memphis mutt. I mean,
definitely had some pit.
Yeah.
Such a sweet dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I say like Nala's eyes are blue, but his eyes were blue.
And he was like Snoopy.
He was black and white, and I think I still have pictures of him somewhere, and just the nicest dog you could ever ask for. Not wild, he didn't jump on you, like
he just wanted love.
Yeah, he wanted love, and we caught him for the first time on like Christmas Eve or Thanksgiving or something. And we just put him in the backyard, and we got home, he wasn't there. Come to find out that he was our neighbor's dog, like 2 houses down. And I remember, I'll tell that part in a second. I remember one day being out washing my Jeep, and I look over and they let him out the back door with no fence and just let him wander around. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there are a lot of great pet owners out there, and there's a lot of people who should not own a single pet. And they were the type that should not have owned a single pet. Because that dog, we lived in a pretty busy area.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
think about like a city block somewhere. Not like skyscrapers and stuff, but like the suburbs within the city.
My thing is, I have a hard time saying that they were horrible pet owners because he was well fed. His nails were trimmed. He looked healthy. My only qualm was that they would let him out and forget about him.
Yeah. And I remember before we moved, we were packing up, and I was like, you know what? If I walk out this door 5 o'clock in the morning and Buddy's wandering around on the street, I'm putting him in the Jeep and I'm taking him with us. I don't care. That didn't happen. But he was manicured. He seemed well taken care of, but the sweetest dog.
I know the kids loved him because I think there were kids at that house.
Probably.
The only thing what broke my heart was when he would go back to their house and just sit and whine at the door, which every dog does that. I understand, but you're just sitting there like, just give him some love. He's such a sweet boy.
Yeah, he was a great dog. Do you remember the skittish dog that we got? We caught a female dog. It was skittish. Like, it did not want me around it. You could walk up to her and pet her, all that. I think she was afraid of men.
We caught so many dogs.
This was one that we took up to the vet, and she was tagged, or she had a microchip, so they took care of her.
I just remember that you didn't believe me for the longest time. That I wasn't purposefully calling these dogs to our house.
It's like, you found another one?
I don't. I mean, sure, there were probably some that I saw running down the street and I called over. But for the most part, I would just walk outside. I'm like, oh, there's a dog on the front porch.
We're like, hey, you want some water? You want some food?
Where's your home?
You want a TREAT?
Yeah.
I've said this before, and I will say it till the end of days. if you are a pet owner, okay, cat, dog, anything that wears a leash, it is probably like $10 now, but used to be like $5. You go to Petco, you go to PetSmart, you go to whatever pet store you want to go to, and you get a tag with the dog's name and your phone number on it. The common denominator with all of these pets that we caught was he just farted again. The common denominator with all the dogs that we caught, none of them had tags.
Yeah.
They had collars, but they did not have tags.
And they weren't microchipped except for that one.
Except for one. And if that simple tag would have saved us having to make a post, would have saved us housing, like, not that we had a problem doing it, it was just like, if you lose your dog and it has a tag, I think there's people out there who's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Somebody will keep her. I was like, yeah, sure, somebody will.
Somebody threatened to keep Nala.
But a lot of people will just call the number on the tag and be like, hey, I found your dog.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, like high school, I was at a park kind of late at night, like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and this dog just runs up to me, and I look at the tag, and I'm like, hey, I call the number, and I'm like, hey, I found your dog. And they're like, oh, my God, where are you? And I was like, Hat McGee Park. They came up there, and they're like, thank you so much for catching him. I was like, no, it's not a problem at all.
I didn't catch it. It caught me.
And they loaded him up, and we're like, here, take this. They tried to hand me like $200. I was like, no, you don't have to pay me. I was like, I appreciate it. They're like, no, please, we insist. I'm like, no, you don't have to pay me. Like, if this was my dog, I would want somebody to catch it and call the number.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and all these dogs, too, we should say, the ones that we were able to find their homes, like, we never asked for anything. No. I think one gave us, like,
because,
$20, but...
I was... How can I judge somebody for their dog running around when this one did it
Nala.
At least half a dozen times?
More than a handful of times.
So, like, I can't sit there and judge you when I know I've run this neighborhood in my pajamas and fresh out the shower hair. So, I get it. It happens. Sometimes they outsmart us because they are animals.
I think since we've been here, I think we've only caught one.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a random one.
That little...
Yeah.
That was pretty
The one that you
recently,
wanted to keep?
No, I didn't want to keep this one.
Okay. I almost had a cat a couple months ago.
It was a little black dog, like this big. It was tiny.
I thought you said it was a... Okay.
It wasn't like an ankle biter. It was a little bit bigger than that.
Oh, I almost had a husky. It was like right around the wedding or something. Remember I told you that there was a husky in the middle of the interstate?
Yeah.
And I looked in my rearview mirror and saw a guy stopping, and he was running out of his truck to go and get it. I was like, if that guy wouldn't have... I would have been... Turn around.
Well, hell, during the snow, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I look out the window and there's a husky walking by. I'm just like, oh, there's another one. I grabbed my house shoes, which were not appropriate for the amount of snow outside, and walked out there. I couldn't find him, so.
I wonder if that's a husky that our neighbors have talked about.
It could be.
Because we have a neighbor that swears up and down that our dogs have gotten out in the middle of the night. And I'm like, well, my dogs are smart, but Nala has never once figured out how to open like a normal doorknob door.
No. And don't you dare learn, little girl.
Our dogs, so they sleep with us in our bedroom, and I think at that time we slept with the door closed. So she would have had to have figured out that door,
which would have woke us up.
Then gone out 2 other doors.
This guy is farting up a storm in here.
I was like, no, man, those weren't our dogs. He's like, no, they really were. I'm like, I promise you, it was not our dogs.
I promise you, that would have woken us up before you found them.
I am intrigued that there are 2 lookalikes, but it's not our dogs.
So I understand. That one, no. Not a chance. Yeah,
I'm a really light sleeper. I would have heard it.
Do you still service that one animal shelter with the white husky?
Yes, and the girl that was working there last month, she's worked there for a while actually, but she was like, "So when are you taking him home?" They all know that I want him really bad. Because he's just the sweetest. I actually haven't seen him. He had kennel cough a little while ago.
Kennel cough?
Yeah. It's what they'll get if they've been in the
kennel
for a while. I don't really know what it is, but they call it kennel cough. So I actually haven't seen them in a while. I guess they've had them away, but every time I go in there, because I have 2 rodent stations by that building, and I have to walk and I feel bad for the workers because all the dogs will be quiet, and then here I go. I walk in front of every single one of the cages, and they all get riled up again. But I always give him loving. He's massive. I think he's a Malamute, but he talks to me.
Like our husky. And
in true fashion, how they got him was he was running, and they've escaped them. He's escaped them a couple times. They said, like, he goes after bunnies, which I guess that's also something Oso used to do. He'll attack some bunnies and frogs, and cats and squirrels.
She's just obsessed with flies. Yeah. Fly will fly overhead. She'll just follow it.
I keep waiting for her to get a bee and swell up.
Oso also loves cats. I remember we were staying at your parents' house for something, and he was just eyeballs on Tigger the whole time. I was like, Oso, that cat will mess you up.
Well, and it's also like, this cat. He's like 4 times bigger now, but this cat.
He was like ears perked, just ready to get this cat. And I was like, Oso, this cat's faster than you. This is its house, and it'll swipe at you, and you ain't gonna do a damn thing about it because you're too scared to.
If our situation was different, we'd probably have that husky, Malamute, whatever he is. At least fostering him, get him out of that kennel.
We could not be foster parents to an animal,
especially not one like that. But
no.
But anything to get him out of there. He doesn't deserve to be in there.
I'm actually surprised he's still in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's not really a rescue, so it's actually like, the animal hospital owns it, but it is a boarding facility.
Mm.
And they just they have extra space, I guess, when they need. So I bet he's been at the animal hospital down the road. That's why I haven't seen him. Makes sense.
Or somebody came along and got him.
Well, she asked me last month when I was taking him home, so he's still around somewhere. Maybe he's being fostered.
That could be it. I'll never forget, we talked about getting a husky puppy at one point, which I don't know if I want to get a puppy. I think I'd rather rescue a dog.
Was that him or her?
I have no idea. They both are farting in here. Stinks in here. I remember looking up a breeder in our area, and they had a questionnaire. Mm-hmm. And it was like, does your house have fences? Huskies are known escape artists. Do you understand? Like, have you ever had a husky before? And I'm like, I'm sure we could go get one because, like, we know what to expect. But if you're looking for a husky, be prepared. Yeah. They are wild childs.
Yeah. I want to know what these people do to their dogs to get them to behave themselves. Because I will see people out with huskies or malamutes off leash, just walking around willy-nilly. And I'm like, is this dog like 16 years old? Is it almost to its dying days? Like, how is it so calm?
Yeah, I think they have to be mixed with something for that to work.
Because Nala, like, yeah, she slowed down a lot, but I guarantee you if I unleashed her, she'd look at me and be like, I'm free? And then be gone.
I'm free.
I would get a husky puppy in a heartbeat, but I'm not paying for a dog.
Yeah, they're not. Husky puppies are not cheap.
I'm not paying for a dog.
They're not cheap.
The only dog the only animal that we have ever, well, Dixie doesn't count because she's I wasn't a part of that. Toby, my parents bought him. I think it was kind of like a rescue place. I don't know. He was a puppy, but they paid like $700 for him. And then Brindle, but she was one of those like Joe Schmo was at the Kroger parking lot, like puppies, $50. So,
2 dogs that are no longer with us.
Yeah.
I never met Toby.
I mean,
Toby died on my birthday.
Toby was like, he was a good dog overall. He had really bad allergies. So he always looked not great. And then he got really classic old man syndrome there towards the end, so me and him didn't get along because he was just mean for no reason. Like, I'm so sorry you're getting old. It is not my fault. And then Brindle was...
She was an old dog.
She was a good pupper.
I was scared of Brindle at first.
Well, yeah, I mean, her breed is kind of scary.
And then got used to her. I was like, hey, Brindle.
She listened to Dad like nobody's business. That was her person.
You gotta remember when I met your parents, your dad was like, get on the bed. And,
yeah.
Like, aye, Captain. Like, crazy.
Yeah, she was a good dog.
Unfortunately, no longer with us.
Yeah.
But
now
had a good life.
Dixie, who's crazy.
Oh my
crazy
God.
Girl.
Dixie's a
Basset Hound. Yeah, Toby was a Bichon Frise, which is basically they look like a Maltese, which is the white, fluffy, smallish dog, but he's supposed to have a fro. I'll have to show you a picture. He never, well, in the early days, they would get his hair cut like that if they didn't accidentally cut him like a poodle. But Bichon Frises, they're notorious for their afros. And then Brindle was an American Bulldog. And yeah, Dixie is a Basset Hound. And Tigger is you can probably guess, he's a orange tabby.
Missed out on naming it Garfield, but...
Well, I was a Tigger person.
No, I only had one dog growing up, and that was Scooby. And Scooby passed away several years ago. He was a miniature dachshund. So when I met your dogs, I was like, your dogs are huge. Because I was used to a 10-pound dog.
Yeah.
And then my mom has two dogs. There's Frank, who is a wiener dog. And Sparky, who is another rescue in the family.
Memphis Mutt.
Yeah, pity mix. Sweet dog. Crazy. Gets on my last nerve. And I'm like, Mom, you got to discipline your damn dog.
He's just a baby.
And that's why he acts the way he acts. I'm like, you got to teach this dog some damn manners.
My brother has the biggest dog of them all.
Oh my God, freaking Coda. Absolute unit.
Massive German Shepherd.
He's such a good boy. I love Coda. He's crazy, but he's a good dog.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, just full teeth.
I feel like if we could choose our dogs, you would want a German Shepherd.
Well, I wanted a black lab, and then
kinda got him.
Kind of already got one.
Kinda, sorta, not really.
But I also really like border collies, they're crazy, which also kind of already have that. And then German Shepherds.
Yeah, it is funny when people are like, oh, what kind of dogs do you have? I'm like, oh, I have a Husky and a Border Collie mix. Like, oh, 2 high-energy dogs. I'm like, no.
One of them is.
The Border Collie mix, something's broken in him because he didn't get the energy of the Border Collie. I have Eeyore and Tigger at home. That's what I have.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. But yeah, no, those are the 2 good doggos.
Yin and yang.
Love them very much.
And they've
sick of them farting in here.
We haven't really had too many issues with them. Also, here within the last year or so, we've had some scares.
One really big scare before our wedding.
I can't even remember what it was called.
Vestibular disease.
Vestibular disease. Yeah, we thought it was seizures, but it was...
He
had the weeble wobbles.
Freaking out. You were at work. I
was literally across the city.
I was eating dinner, and Oso was just looking around the room like, you know how a dog follows a fly around the room? That's what he was doing, but there was no flies. And I was like, Oso, are you okay? And I was like, Oso, come here. He stands up and just stumbles over, almost falls down. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then he started throwing up and just started shaking, and I was like, holy shit, I think he's having a seizure. So I called you. You didn't answer. Called my mom and was like, Mom, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I think Osa's having a seizure, and I got to get him to the vet. Well, our vet's office, of course, not their fault, just closed.
Yeah.
So
As in, like, the time of day, not like
they're still open for business. It
was like 5:45, and they closed at 6.
They were closed for the day, and so finally you called me back and was like, "Hey, I think Oso had a seizure. I don't know what to do." And we took him up to the emergency vet, and they diagnosed him with vestibular disease, put him on some medicine, and
vestibular disease is basically like, imagine severe vertigo. Like his balance, he was walking like he was drunk, and his eyes, like you were saying, were darting back
which
and
is
forth.
common
like
for a
his
seizure.
entire world was spinning.
Yeah, so I remember if you looked at his eyes, it would just go. I'm doing the finger motion like people can see.
Left and right.
Left and right. They were
really,
just
really
twitching
fast.
left and right. And so we've also been dealing with this ongoing freaking ear infection that just will not go away.
Yeah.
We've gotten it treated by the vet several times, and
It just keeps coming back.
it just always keeps coming back, no matter how much we clean it, and no matter what we do. And the vet was finally like, "Look, the only thing I could think to do here is put him under and do a deep clean." But at 14, and with he has kind of a gallop rhythm in his heart now with his age, and that they're like, I'd be weary to do it, so we'll just keep treating it, which sucks, but I don't want to put him under.
Yeah, but apart from all that, like he's, like I said, allergies, and then that little stint last year, that's it. And Nala, just her teeth, because she doesn't know how to be a dog.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to chew on bones.
Yeah, she doesn't chew on bones.
I remember one time she was chewing on like a bone with the hollowed out center, and it got stuck on her jaw, and we're just sitting there, and she just starts like crying, like, and I was like, oh my gosh. Nala I think she likes to play Boy Who Cried Wolf sometimes, though, because I remember...
I think it scares her.
That I understood. I remember it was my birthday. We were at your house, and I just heard her yelp out.
It was when she hit the counter or something. I don't know what happened.
And I ran in there, and she was fine.
And I mean, like, she screamed.
Like, loud.
And then I was panicking because I didn't know what had happened. I think I was in tears because it scared the crap out of me, because we were in our tiny little kitchen, and this dog just screamed at me.
Like, yelped like you stepped on her toe. On her foot,
like
on her
broke
paw.
her toe.
And then she just got up and started walking around like nothing happened. And I was like, are you kidding
okay?
me?
What happened?
Isn't that right, little husky? You remember that? Good girl.
That's our doggos.
Yep. So, anyway. Oh, I should tell them why they call Sparky. They found him caught in an electric fence. He's fine. But, yeah, that's how he got his name.
She's my girl. You want to say hello to the people?
She just perked up.
Do you want to speak? Speak?
Nala, speak.
Speak?
Yeah, say it. Nope. Sounds like you're getting some microphone sniffs. That's what you're getting from
today.
Nala.
Not today.
Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, subscribe or follow if you haven't already. Tell your friends about us, share us wherever you share cool things. We hope you enjoyed that episode about our dogs. And until next time, we will catch you guys on the next one.
No? Maybe? Something? Anything?
Say it.
Oh, what was that?
That was it. You gotta say it.
Do you want a treat?
You gotta say it.
No. You want a treat?
You want a treat?
Well, the dog who yells at me 24/7 is camera shy.
Microphone shy. Either way. Anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will catch you guys. There it is. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace out.